We'll just throw it to Haley for fun. Awesome. For fun, just to talk.
Hey, guys.
Coming up on tonight's show, Team USA basketball is in town to practice. No Kawhi, but we will tell you who showed up. UNLV football's Rebels are picked to finish third in the West Division behind Fresno State, behind San Diego State. We'll talk about Media Day. The Vegas Golden Knights re-sign William Carrier, and they are set to go on a caravan. Asia Wilson and Kayla McBride are in Minnesota this weekend for the WNBA All-Star game.
Kelsey Plum is too. Oh, no. Wait.
Will the Aces lose momentum?
Still on the team, though.
Well, they lose momentum after the break. No team, Tim Tebow. I know John's disappointed for the 51s this season. He broke his hand. He's out for the season. Also, the Las Vegas Lights are still on the road. They're playing in Seattle tonight. Tony Cardasco, along with John Castanino, Matt Gutierrez. Haley Brooks is here. She's here with Haley's comments. And, of course, Luis Negretti is here. He'll have a package for us coming up later on. And this is produced by Richard Giacovino.
Hey, the biggest news, though, you failed to mention is that I'll actually be leading a segment here. You release the reins, you know, because you come in here with your notes all prepared, and you feel like you got the show on lockdown, but you're relenting. You're going to let me lead the knighthood segment tonight.
Don't let me stand in your way. Just, you know, anytime you're ready to go.
Okay.
You can also do Haley's comments.
Well,
too,
I'll follow the rundown, okay? We have an order.
There's actually a rundown tonight.
It's a lot of work taking words away from Tony.
Yeah. Let's say hello.
Like,
wait,
whether
talk
it's
to
Thursday
Haley?
Night or Saturday morning.
Can we talk to Haley?
That's a chore.
Yeah. Hi, Haley.
Hi, Haley.
Hi.
How are things over there?
They're shaking.
Oh, wait. She needs a camera.
She does need a camera.
Yeah.
Hi, Haley.
Hello.
We see you there.
What's shaking?
Nothing. What's going on?
Just hanging out at the bar like usual.
Yeah, just, you know, it's my spot.
Casual Thursday
You
night.
guys just happened to stroll in. I was already here.
What are you serving up tonight?
Popping bottles.
So, let's get into some sports. The USA basketball team arriving in Las Vegas. They are here for a couple of days of practice. We saw a number of top NBA players in attendance. Now, were Dwayne Wade and LeBron James there? Because I saw Wade's Instagram, right?
Dwayne
and
Wade.
they were over, they were over at Mandalay Bay at the event center on the Aces court. Mm-hmm. Were they there? Were they there today?
They were not
at
there.
Mendenhall? Okay.
No, they were
well,
not
Dwayne
there.
Wade, Dwayne Wade. That's what I said. Look at his Instagram. Fire it up.
We're more worried about the players that are actually on the
Dwayne
USA
Wade,
basketball team.
Okay, so no
than
Kawhi.
we are
no
just
Kawhi.
a random celebrity in town
Okay.
hanging out.
Kawhi said he wants to focus now, spend time with his new team.
There was
the
no way
Toronto
Kawhi was going to
Raptors.
show up for this. Popovich is the new coach. No way with that trade and the way that whole situation went down, Kawhi was going to show up for this training camp. It's a voluntary training camp. He was not going to make it.
No Steph Curry. No LeBron James, even though he is in town.
Yeah.
And maybe you heard about the little scuffle that broke out at Liberty High School last night. LeBron was there trying to watch his son, Bronny, play. It's Bronny Jr.
Like,
Bronny
really?
Jr.
Is
That is his name,
Is that
Bronny.
his name?
Bronny.
Bronny?
And apparently a guy in a Jordan jersey walked in, and he said, "You ain't the GOAT, this guy's the GOAT." And,
Come on.
and everything went awry. They had to cancel his son's game.
Seriously?
LeBron had to be escorted out of, this is at Liberty High School, had to be escorted out of the gym. No game. So LeBron's in town, just not with USA basketball.
Okay, they're
People
at the
take
Aces.
this stuff way too
At the
seriously.
Aces.
It's funny.
This GOAT argument, and I get
Oh,
it.
that you're talking about.
And I'm going to make the Chicago reference for you,
Tangent.
John, because I know, the shot
Thank
game,
you.
the Chicago reference, we have to
Thank
do
you.
it. But we're of the Jordan generation, right? Jordan is the GOAT for our generation. The younger generation, it's LeBron, and it's understandable. LeBron is the best player of this current generation. Kobe fits somewhere in the middle between the two. But the argument is ridiculous. It's people have such passion about this argument, and they get so defensive about the argument. Why can't they just both be great players?
So Matt and John were at the Mendenhall today.
We were.
And that's a two-shot in the making, to be honest with you. And it looked like a madhouse out there.
It was fun. I mean, it's a lot more laid back than anything regular season would be, because first of all, it's voluntary, so these guys want to be there. They want to hang out. There you go. You're watching Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant get some shots up. Victor Oladipo in there as well.
I saw Kyrie Irving was out
Kyrie
there.
Irving was hanging out with this group, actually, just
He
kind
was
of
just
coaching
dishing,
them up a little bit.
Coaching them up
Yeah.
and dishing the ball, right?
Yeah, showing them a couple moves. He was going over the Euro step with them, how to make that work.
That'll work
for
in
whatever
Europe.
reason, coming to the left side of the basket using a right hand. I don't quite know why. I would use a left hand there, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's voluntary. These guys want to be there. They're in Vegas. It's kind of a vacation-y style feel, and they're just having fun playing with each other instead of being against each other all the time.
You know, I make the argument that this group, it's the most high-profile team in the world, USA basketball. I mean, where else in the world do you get a group together on the same floor of the greatest players in their sport currently, right? And they're all practicing together for a common goal. It's not an all-star game. It's not a Pro Bowl. These guys are playing for something. They are here in Las Vegas for a reason. They need to get used to international basketball. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
It may not be intense, but these guys need to get to know the rules, and sure, that takes a little bit of time.
And plus the camaraderie,
That's
too.
right. That's right. You've got to build the chemistry, even for the best players in the NBA. And again, I make the argument that this is the greatest gathering of any sports team in the world.
So, any media selfies today?
For me, no.
I'm not going to
Believe it or
lie.
not.
It's funny you say that, Tony. I'm standing down there on that same area where we just saw the Durant video from. And Durant was sitting on the baseline now, doing interviews, just sitting back in the chair, relaxed. People were asking him questions. And one of the media members, I don't know who it was. I've never seen this person before. Obviously not local media. He turns, and he's got his mic, he's got his camera, and he has his phone in somebody else's hand, and he's doing one of these so that they can get a picture with Durant in the background.
It might have been my
I
student.
said, come
it was
on,
probably
man.
my UNLV student.
was.
Didn't we get an email about that? Come on.
Sorry. We've got sound. We've got a lot of sound. And you're talking about Greg Popovich, who's taking over for Mike Krzyzewski. Coach K was actually there.
Yeah.
He was lingering around as well. But here's Greg Popovich. Had the chance to ask him a couple questions just about being in Las Vegas and what Las Vegas means to USA basketball.
So it's a win-win for everybody.
Greg, being in Las Vegas, Vegas has always treated USA basketball really well.
That's for sure.
It's a great city. I'm sure to get a little bit. Yeah, I mean,
It's the only place we really want to be. The people, the logistics, the setup, the players are pretty much used to it by now after all this time. It's a great place for this kind of a situation. So we can't think of any place we'd rather be. It's as simple as that.
Anything specifically just about the Mendenhall Center here that you can talk about as far as facilities-wise?
Well, facilities have always been great, and you can see, with all the courts, the baskets, all the help that everybody's willing to give us, it makes it pretty easy so we can just concentrate on basketball.
So loves Vegas, loves the Mendenhall Center, and it's been like a decade, I think, USA basketball has been coming to Las Vegas. So it really is home for them. I mean, we've been talking about this year after year. But I just think it's so much fun for the fans. You had people lining up outside. You're 4 or 5 people deep at 110-degree temperatures just to get a glimpse of Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
And these guys that are here. It really is one of the best atmospheres that Las Vegas ever hosts. It's a lot of fun. Another guy that Rebel fans know, and the one that got away, Matt says.
The one that got away, man.
During the break.
One of the many, I guess.
Jay Wright. Under Raleigh Massimino, an assistant with him at UNLV in the 80s, but he's back. He's been an assistant with USA Basketball for a little while. Had the chance to talk to Jay Wright, also about the Rebel brand and about Las Vegas. All right, Coach, just coming back on this UNLV campus. Again, I know you spent a little bit of time back here a little while ago, but any memories resurface?
Oh, a lot of great memories. Our oldest son, who's now 25, was born here. So at the hospital here, Sunrise Hospital. So a lot of great friends here, and the tradition of UNLV basketball. Every time I see Rebels, every time I see running Rebels, I think of my son's first words were Rebels, Rebels. So we love it. We have great memories here. Just met the new athletic director. She's really dynamic, really exciting. I think it sounds like she's going to be great for UNLV. And I'm friends with Marvin. I think Marvin's building something here. I think he is. And there's no better place to play basketball than right here for the Rebels.
Touch on that Rebels brand, and is it iconic to you, even if the team and the program isn't performing as well right now?
It is. The history of the Rebels, being a Rebel. is in the basketball circles is still really strong, you know. And I think coming out here for summer league and, you know, the USA team always practicing here, they're just connected to big time basketball, you know. And you see a game at the Thomas and Mack Center, you know that's a happening.
And lastly, you know, Vegas treats you guys right. I know a lot of the players and the coaches. I'm sure you look forward to a little bonding time out here every year.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other place that would fit USA basketball better. The guys love coming out. They're, you know, it's fun for their families. There's fun for older guys, you know. And the Wynn treats us great. We love great food. We all love great restaurants. And then this facility, you know, the Rebels facility is perfect for this.
Appreciate it. Nice to see you. Thank you. Isn't that neat? His son, Colin, his name, 25 now, first word, Rebels. Yeah. Arguably the best coach in the NCAA right now, and he's got a son from Las Vegas.
By far, one of the best coaches out there. Yep.
But it brings up the argument, guys. The best players in the NBA, they come to Las Vegas every year, and yet UNLV, it seems to struggle consistently to get the top players around the country.
The thing that kills me is it's not just the NBA, it's college basketball, because we get 4 different conference tournaments out here every single season. 4 conference tournaments come out to Vegas. Mountain West, WAC, Big West, and the WCC all come to Vegas every single year. You get the biggest AAU tournaments out here.
Fab 48
high
right
school,
now. All the tournaments are here right now.
So high school, college, and the best of the best with USA basketball out here. On campus at UNLV, practicing at their gym. All this exposure every single season, and we've got a team that can't finish better than middle of the road in a very bad Mountain West division. How does that happen? How does that happen?
Food for thought, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. It's extremely frustrating that this program isn't better than it is, especially when you consider where it was. I know that the Tark days have long since passed, and we're not going to get that back, but there's really no excuse to have fallen as far as they've fallen.
I think, you know, one of the things that we saw in past years with Team USA here, a lot of the players taking selfies, photos, you know, with some of the top players, a ton of social media, right? Where are the players at this week, you know, currently, to kind of get that word out? If you are a fellow, you know, recruit, if UNLV is going after a particular player, this is stuff, you know, they used to send out newspaper clippings, but now they send out, you know, tag people on a social media. And the other recruits, the players that you want to bring here, are all watching this, right? And they still, to this moment, it doesn't appear as though they can utilize this as a tool to help in the recruiting effort. And I don't think the kids from Africa know who some of these players are. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And Blake was on campus. A couple of the other Rebel players, they were milling about, as they should be.
Shouldn't they all be at Mendenhall today, though?
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no excuse to not be there. Like Tony said, this is, as far as a recruiting tool goes, as far as exposure goes, how do you get bigger than the best of the best all in one gym at one time?
With the NBA, though, comes a little bit of drama and baggage, right? When you have superstars, Durant here, and Kevin Durant. You know, when he first got here and he was training with USA Basketball, he loved it. And you could see he was wide-eyed. Really enjoyed talking with him, but now he's kind of the veteran of this team, and he's a superstar.
You know,
and he doesn't have to answer the questions from the media, apparently.
He got caught with the burner account last year, and that started a whole firestorm. And Durant feels like he's been painted into this corner where the media is labeling him as a bad guy, and they're the ones that are perpetuating this lie about him. And you know, he was being asked questions, and you'll see on the video here, he was a little salty towards the media.
Try to, you know, make excuses. You know what I'm saying? I got too many texts, or I talk too much on Instagram, or I talk too much on Twitter, or I don't know how to talk to my teammates, or I'm angry, or insecure, or sensitive. Tell me what the real problem is. Because every time I say something, I go about my business, and when I say something, House of Highlights and Bleacher Report gas y'all up, and y'all run with it, and as soon as I say something back, I'm the sensitive one. I mean, I know y'all trying to make me look crazy and discredit me and strip me of my credibility, but I see what you're doing, but I'm gonna still keep standing.
Is this like is this for you like worth taking this stand? Like y'all not about to set me up, and
I'm not saying I'm just be out here being an activist for what, but if I got something to say, don't get mad because I say something. Then you catch feelings. I call you out on it, and I'm insecure, and all these everybody running with it. Now people come to me like, damn man, I didn't know you were so cool when they meet me in person. Why? Because of what y'all say. But that goes for everybody around here. Y'all say shit about them, they don't say nothing, and they just keep adding on. But I'm the one. I just talk. I say how I feel, but I guess I'm the bad guy.
How excited are you to play in China? World Championships in China. That could be a pretty cool trip.
Yep.
Excited to play over there?
Mm-hmm.
You've been there before, obviously, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Basketball's huge in China, right?
Yeah. Good.
At least he was smiling.
Yeah, I mean,
he was smiling at the end.
I get it. I understand. I understand where Durant's coming from because from the second he signed with Golden State, he caught so much flack about jumping onto an established team, a team that had already won a championship, a team that had been to back-to-back finals, and it was instantly let's just attack Durant and his character and why he would do this kind of stuff. And then the burner account thing happened, and it's just another reason to attack Kevin Durant, and he's on the defensive now.
So I was around Durant in the early days of USA basketball here in Las Vegas, and you were talking about a young man, a humble guy, a quiet guy, a soft-spoken guy, and now you take a look at Kevin Durant, he seems like he's bitter. He seems like he's been burned so many times. He's having this battle, on social media with C.J. McCollum, and they're going back and forth, and I don't think the media right now is taking away his credibility. I think it's Durant himself who's taking away the credibility there.
I mean, is he? He's just. I think he's on the defensive because of the constant attacks. Now, the burner account was a bad look, obviously. Tony, you probably have 50.
I believe is the
yeah, there you go.
I have
you probably
45,
have 50
45
yeah,
burner
John, I'm
accounts.
sure you have a handful. I'm still working on a couple here, but it's just it comes off as kind of petty almost. But the whole attack of character because he jumped to Golden State is ridiculous. He helped that team. Look how much better that team has become with Durant on that team.
Haley, what do you think?
Just hanging out over here. What's up? I just love anybody that will go after the media for a second. It's always a good turnaround.
It was fun. It was fun.
Have you covered USA Bat? No, you haven't. But you've been. Rebel
not
Report's been
USA.
there. The students have been there. Not something that you've been excited about, clearly, then, or else you would have covered it to this point.
Obviously, yeah. I was first in line for everything because I was the best student you ever had ever.
Not a big basketball fan.
No, not
She's the Emmy Award-winning.
the Emmy
Haley.
Award-winning.
How can we forget?
She sounds like Kevin Durant with those answers right now. Yep. No, I'm your best student.
That was
No.
the best part of that entire interview was the guy trying to get him to talk about going to China to play.
Nope.
Yep, been there. Yep. I mean, I'm done with this. Let's move on.
So
So, Haley-
some secrets to hide.
Haley, do we have any comments? Anyone out there making any comments?
Yeah, sure. So, our good friend Scott Goldbranson, you guys know who he is?
Yeah, a little bit.
A hearty
I think he's doing the In My Feelings challenge. He's sending some love.
Yeah.
All right.
Is he-
Oh.
You
as
guys
long as he
know.
doesn't send a video of him dancing.
We don't need to see that.
whoa. So I want to talk about, were you involved in the Las Vegas Motor Speedway In My Feelings challenge
No, not
video?
at all.
That had to be you. That had to.
It was me.
That had
What's
you.
his name?
That was amazing. It was
Pit
very
boss!
good.
Pit boss.
Pit
Why do I say
boss.
pit stop?
Pit boss.
There's Pit
Man,
boss.
That was one of my favorites.
I
Well
always say- I say
choreographed.
pit stop every
We
time.
I knew it was her. It was so well choreographed.
It wasn't choreographed though. That's the thing. It was like
spontaneous?
140 degrees on that track.
Right.
So
Oh.
we literally went out there and we're like, all right, let's do this and go home.
Nobody knows what we're talking about, by the way.
Yeah.
Just go to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway Facebook page,
Yeah.
and you'll see.
And there was like one of those
In My Feelings.
little baby
It was
heart
good.
emojis.
It was good. He did
So,
a good job. Pit
let's,
boss. Pit
Great.
stop. Whatever.
Let's
Pit
shift.
Oh, sorry about the swearing in that video, by the way.
Yeah.
Uncensored. You have USA Basketball unfiltered. You'll only get it here on
He's
Sports
been swearing.
Adrenaline
He's
Live.
been potty mouth.
You'll only
Bad,
get it.
bad
You're
of a
supposed to let it
word.
go. You're not
You'll-
supposed
you'll-
to point it.
you'll-
You didn't
you'll
drop
get
the
bleeps.
F-bomb.
Yeah,
Settle
just let it
down,
go.
John.
No. No one saw it. Let's proceed. Let's talk about UNLV football if we can. So Media Day was here this past week, and seniors Lexington Thomas and Jameer Outsey represented UNLV and the Rebels at the annual Mountain West Conference Media Day over at the Cosmopolitan. And Thomas will be our guest on the radio show come Saturday morning on CBS Sports Radio, 11:40 a.m. And you'll hear from him about his feelings about last season and what everything is like heading into his senior year. But this team, I felt as though the ongoing theme was just as they looked past, in retrospect, from last season, upset with themselves, they still feel as though they were just a couple of plays away from being bowl eligible. And how much is that experience now going to help them as they head into Tony Sanchez's fourth year?
Well, you're bringing up a good point, and that's something I specifically asked Tony Sanchez. We'll roll that interview here momentarily, but right, a couple plays here and there. And what does that go down to? Did they learn their lessons? We'll hear what Tony has to say in a second, but this time of year for me, it's really fun because I'm excited about UNLV football right now, right? Hope springs eternal right now. You've got the open slate. You've got 12 games. You win 6 of them. You go to a bowl game. UNLV hasn't been to one in what seems like forever.
It's been a while.
And then but then they'll go out and they'll lose to Howard. Right?
and
then that ruins everything. So I'm excited now. I'm gonna enjoy it while I can.
And that's exactly where my pessimism comes from, is because they go out and they lose games like the Howard game. This team continues to disappoint, and not on an individual game basis. Overall, they can't make bowl games. They can't have winning seasons. There's no consistency on either side of the ball. You hope that Tony Sanchez can do the job. We all think that he can, given enough time. He's headed in the right direction, but it's just, for me personally, it's impossible to go, yeah, they're a bowl team. I see what they've done. I see the talent on the field. They're a bowl team. Can Tony Sanchez make the proper adjustments within each game? Game to game, can he make those adjustments to come out of halftime and be the better team in the second half?
Well, maybe you'll get a little insight right now. UNLV blows a 27-point lead to Air Force last season. They blow a 2-touchdown lead to Utah State. Here's Tony Sanchez talking about that one play or 2 plays in a game that really made a world of difference this past season and what he thinks needs to be done to overcome that this upcoming year.
All right, Tony. I mean, it just feels like this program is just so right there, like you're just on the cusp, Tell us about that, how this could be the breakout year for UNLV football.
Yeah, we're excited about it. I mean, we've worked hard to get to the situation we're in now. We've got a lot of depth coming back, a lot of talent coming back, a lot of guys with game experience, and we've been in so many close games over the years. And so many of them were just a play or two away, just a little execution away from really getting over that big hump over there. So we feel like we have an opportunity to do it this year. I mean, we're excited about the schedule. Love opening up at SC. It's been as good of an off season as I've been around since I've been here. And we really think we got great opportunity to go out there and really show the change that we've worked so hard for.
Tony, you mentioned that play or two, and it's what are you learning as a head coach? How you get that play or two to go your way? And I know it's hard. Some of it's luck, and a lot of it's execution.
And a lot of culture, culture and execution, understanding of situations, and just being a tough, hard-nosed football team, and allowing yourself to create those situations that kind of go your way. So. I think being more consistent is kind of the biggest thing. Offensively, just we have spurts where we look really, really good, and then we've had spurts where we kind of lull. Just being more consistent with that. Defensively, just creating more turnovers. Putting more pressure on the quarterback, and I think that's going to happen. And when those things happen, you got a great opportunity.
I don't know where to start with.
I got coach.
Consistency and execution, and I think a lot of that goes on the shoulders of the players, Matt. I mean, can you blame the coaching staff for all of that?
No, absolutely not. Execution is on the players, absolutely. But are they putting their players in the right positions to make the proper plays? Are they putting a game plan in place that, okay, you go into halftime, it's a tight game, you're struggling against the run, but you're able to move the ball in this area. Do you make certain adjustments at halftime that are going to help you get over the hump in the second half? And I don't know that we've seen that consistently from this coaching staff.
I think it's the schemes. I think I've said this before, that the defensive scheme will be much better, more of an attacking scheme. I think offensively, just based on what I saw in the spring, and Lexington Thomas, I really felt, and I'm going to consistently drive this home, I felt like he is going to reach another level this year.
Yeah.
I really do. I just think they're going to put him out in space. He only had, Matt? We said like 24 receptions a year for his entire career.
Yeah,
and he might have that this season.
I told you yesterday when we looked at that stat, I was shocked that he was that minimized in the passing game.
Sure.
This is a guy who, I mean, in space, he may be one of the best guys in college football.
Because the first guy can't hit him.
Exactly. He's that
breaks the
fast.
first
He's that
tackle.
elusive.
Yep.
He's at top speed by third step. Get this kid in space. Swing routes, screens, things of that nature. Use him in the passing game, and he's going to be phenomenal. He's already phenomenal. He'll be that much better in the passing game.
So Lex is going to be a guest on a radio show, CBS Sports Radio, 11:40 a.m. Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. He'll be in one of the first segments of the show. But without giving anything away, guys, I mean, you spoke with him for quite a while. I mean, I know he's primed for a big year, but what did he say to convince you that?
He's excited about the milestones that are potentially within his grasp. I think he understands where he's at in the pantheon of Rebel football. You know what I mean? He gets where he's at. He knows where he stands. And I think that he wants to attain every single goal possible within those record books.
You got anything?
No, I was just going to say like that.
Sorry.
Interrupter. With Lex, you know, I told him I like his Twitter game. He's a big LeBron fan.
Yeah, he's got the lightning bolt in his handle. Which is
how can you not?
And every time that I've
lightning.
ever broadcast one of his games, he's rushed for like 1,000 yards in the game.
Oh, is that
So we're
what it is?
petitioning for Tony.
So I'll be doing the
to
Prairie View game.
play-by-play
Tony got
every
the Prairie
Rebels
View
game this season.
Tony took credit for his whole career, I'm sure. Right?
Well,
you
he
did.
did. He told
Lex,
him.
The only
I told
reason
him.
that you ran for 1,000 yards
And
last
yes,
year was because I
and
called
Lex,
one of your games.
Lex understands that.
Uh-huh.
Even
He
though
was,
he's a
in
senior
agreement.
now.
I'll admit that. Lex was in agreement with it.
Yeah, he knows. So he's a little superstitious.
So let's go back to Tony Sanchez. We talked to him a little bit about, you know, the one or two plays that make a difference in a season, but now we've got an offense that is set to hit a new stratosphere, a defense that nobody expects anything out of. So here's Tony Sanchez breaking down the offense and the defense. What can we expect this season?
Just pause for a second. Where do you start with this offense? I mean, give me a global picture. This offense is stacked, and we're all fired up to see what it can do this coming season.
Yeah, we've shown some good production
really
over the last couple of years, and I think we have a chance to really just kind of jump into a different hemisphere as far as our ability to go ahead and and play well on that side of the ball. The biggest thing, without a quarterback, you don't really have a chance. I mean, you look at what a quarterback did for Fresno last year. I mean, a guy comes in and man, what a difference maker it was for that program. And every good program has that. So Armani, with the pressure he'll put on defense as being a dual threat guy, that really stresses people out with guys like Lexington in the backfield, Charles Williams, Xavier Campbell. I mean, we've got some really dynamic guys, and with a healthy receiving core, knock on wood, if we can stay healthy with Techman and Woods and and Presley and Keys healthy now finally, and the depth of the offensive line. I mean, we've got 8 or 9 guys that can play quite a bit this year, so haven't really had that before. So again, I mean, it just creates possibility, nothing guaranteed. But I mean, if this offense plays to its ability level, I think we have a chance to score a bunch of points.
I've been around Armani a little bit. I know clearly you spent a lot more time with him. To me, he looks like a different kid. Where I don't know if he was just quiet that first year that he was learning, and now it seems he's way more outspoken and has really filled out that leadership role. But,
yeah.
I mean, tell us about that change that he's had.
Well, when you're going from high school to college, I mean, first you got to gain your confidence, you got to getting a great understanding, and then playing the quarterback position is tough. I mean, that's a lot, So he had to learn how to be a college player, learn how to be a college quarterback. That's why redshirting him was so invaluable. And then as good of a year as he had last year, there's a lot of things he probably could have done better that he will do this year just from having that experience. So I think he knows it now. He's got a quiet confidence about him, carries himself well. The whole team believes in him. I mean, they know that he's our leader and he's a guy that can take us to a different level. So he feels that way and he's carrying that with him, which is a good thing.
Now, we know we've been excited about the offense for the past few years, right? You've always been able to generate well running, and now the passing game's coming along. Defensively, you got to tell us where we're at here, Tony. being able to stop teams from throwing up points on the board.
Yeah.
With Tim coming in, should we have that kind of same level of excitement as we do about the offense?
Well, I think he's going to do a really good job of getting them fundamentally sound, getting them lined up, getting them to play hard, running to the football, just doing all the little things that lead to playing good defense. Our personnel's older. I mean, we have 7 guys coming back. I think we've recruited really well this last offseason. Added a couple older guys that can come in and be impactful. Some younger guys I think are going to make a big jump this year. So we fully expect to see the defense go out there and and play a better brand of football and and bring this whole thing together.
true or false here? Again, you tell me how far off base I am, but with your offense, is it you don't need your defense to do a lot? You just need, bend but don't break?
I tell you, I'd rather them shut everybody out so we don't have to worry about it, But, it goes hand in hand because, even with some of the wins we've had over the years, there's times where the defense has played well and while the offense sputters, and holds on. So it's a give and take type deal. The biggest thing in college football now is you got to eliminate big plays, you got to create turnovers, and you got to pressure the quarterback. If you can do those three things, it's not about yardage. You may give up 300-400 yards. It don't make a difference. Can you create, turnovers, be opportunistic that way? Are you going to can you eliminate big plays and can you pressure that quarterback because that creates turnovers? So if we can do those three things more efficiently, it lends us to having a better year.
A couple more, Tony. Tell us about where the practice.
So what do you think of that, Matt? He's not talking about yards per game on defense, right? Doesn't matter if you give up 300 or 400 yards. Last year was over 400 yards they've allowed on defense. As long as you make the stops and get the turnovers, you'll be okay.
We talked about this the other day when we were there, yesterday as a matter of fact. It's not so much the yards, it's when you're able to get off the field. If this team is able to get 3 and outs, force punts early in a drive, get the ball back right away, and keep their defense fresh, that's important. If they're keeping teams off the scoreboard, but it's because maybe a missed field goal or a late turnover in a drive, and their defense is on the field for 6-7 minutes at a time, every single series, then they're going to wear down, and when the fourth quarter rolls around, they're going to be in trouble. That's the difference, is getting stops early in a drive, getting that defense off the field, and allowing them to rest, and let the offense, which we've already discussed is going to be a dynamic offense, letting them getting out on the field and make plays, put points on the board, and then put their defense in a situation.
I'm not a big fan, John, of bend but don't break, because especially with this defensive unit, they don't know when to step it up, or with their backs against the wall, they've not been able to in the past, right? So I'm not a big fan of bend but don't break. I much rather see them take some shots, be a blitzing and an aggressive defense, which we haven't seen here in a few years, right? At UNLV.
Are they going to be able to get to the quarterback this year? You believe they are?
I think that they can. I think that they'll have more depth than they've ever had before, and I think that what they're bringing in on the defensive line, especially that strength up the middle, I like what they've done with the defensive tackles. I think that that's going to help get some pressure. It'll enable them to get pressure from the outside. Also, if you're blitzing and attacking with those linebackers, we won't see as many running plays from the opponent getting to that second level.
Everybody talks about, when you're talking about pressure with the quarterback, everybody thinks about that edge pressure, right? The defensive ends coming off the edge, those big hits. That all starts with that middle pressure, because the first thing the quarterback wants to do in the pocket is step up into that pocket. That's where he's safe. That's what the pocket is. You step up into that pocket, you're able to step into your throw and make an accurate pass. If that middle pressure comes and you're able to break that pocket down, that's when that edge pressure becomes more significant, and that's what we need to see from UNLV.
John, I would also put more pressure on UNLV's offense to have, again, I said this at the start of last season, you need sustained drives and ball control to keep that defense fresh. And I put the onus on UNLV's offense more than the defense to get the stops. Because,
specifically,
yeah,
Armani
they have to
Rogers.
run the ball, they have to eat up clock, they have to move down the field, and they have to do it methodically. When they score points, it's a Lexington Thomas, 50-yard touchdown run. It's, a laser pass from Rogers to one of the receivers on the edge. They're scoring way too quick.
Well, you make a great point. Wasn't it last season? It was 6 out of the first 7, or for the first 7 games, their opening drive went for a score. They got a score on the opening drive.
Right.
But yet, late in games, they're blowing 27-point leads. Yeah. So, I see what you're saying. And I did ask Tony Sanchez about that. Don't you think the offense can carry the defense? And he said, we need to get to the quarterback, really. And it remains to be seen if Tim Skipper and this revamped defensive front for UNLV can actually do that this coming season.
Yeah, and you hope that they can. You want to see more consistency from the quarterback spot, and that's not just being able to deliver the correct pass. It's making the right read. It's checking down when you need to check down, sustaining drives, third downs, converting to first down, and keeping your offense and keeping their defense on the field, which, again, allows your defense to stay fresh for the game in the fourth quarter when they've been blowing all these huge leads.
Oh, Haley.
Hello. How are you? No.
You got nothing for us? I mean, you've been hearing our conversation. What? Okay, go for it.
Okay, so the first one is from Brian Anderson Jr., and this is for John specifically. He said, hey, John, is every Cubs fan as rude as that guy that stole the ball from the kid and gave it to his wife?
What? Now, everybody knows the backstory on this, though, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the guy looked like a douche, for lack of a better way to put it.
He still is.
He looked like a douche taking that ball from the kid, right? If you haven't seen video of this, just find Cubs fan douche. Google that. You might find it on Google. So a kid takes a ball away from a little Cubs fan. He was probably 4 or 5. And then later in the game, Cubs fan gets a signed Javi Baez ball, probably MVP this year. I mean, let's face it.
Stop.
But the kid had 2 balls in the picture.
You just lose 3 in a row to Arizona.
Kid had
Moving on.
Kid had no walk-off win today. Thank you very
damn
much.
it.
So they did not. There's 3 in a row. The kid had 2 baseballs in the picture. One was the signed Javi Baez ball. The other ball was a ball given to him earlier in the game by that same fan that supposedly stole the ball. So no, they're not all ridiculous fans.
Here's my contention. I understand that he gave him a ball earlier, blah, blah, blah. That's great. Who was the Cubs player throwing the ball to? Who was he throwing it? I don't care how many baseballs this fan decided to give to the young kid. Who was the ball being thrown to? He took a ball away from a kid that was intended solely for that child.
I can't argue.
I think
Cubs players are terrible.
I think Haley has more questions.
At least they're not getting in fights.
That's it. Brian's the only one I'll give
Haley,
a pass
do we have
to.
another question over there?
Yeah. So Caleb Kelsey said he saw our post that we're having a viewing party, right?
Yes,
for
yes.
the Raiders-Lions game, and he wants to know if he should bring the cornhole.
Who's excited?
Cornhole inside Legacy Stadium at the Palazzo.
Do it. Bring it.
Let's do it.
So, in case you haven't heard, Sports Adrenaline Crew, the Silver and Black Today team, along with Haley Brooks, who has her own, she's got her own fangirls, I should say, over there at Legacy Stadium. Yes. They can't wait for her appearance there, more so than ours. So we're hosting a viewing party. This will be for the Raiders preseason game, Legacy Stadium at the Palazzo, a.k.a. free parking on Friday night, August the 10th.
One of the few left.
Yeah, and we'll do a couple of podcasts from there with Silver and Black today, 5 to 7 p.m. Then we'll preview the Raiders preseason game against the Detroit Lions, talk Raiders football starting at 7. That's August the 10th, and we hope that all the area Raider fans and the Haley Brooks fans, because she's got 2,000
Yeah, a lot of Facebook friends is what we're hearing.
Facebook friends,
Yeah.
Just based on
Hey,
her
we'll
appearance
from
Africa,
on the Pastrana show that we did. So anyway, don't forget to tune in live on 11:40 a.m., 8 to 10 a.m. on Saturday. More details, we'll flesh it out.
Legacy Stadium, a lot of fun, especially if you want to watch a game. TVs at every table, all over the bar. Full sports book there if you want to do some crazy preseason gambling, which I can't imagine why you'd want to because you never know what's going to happen. But it's a great venue to watch sports altogether.
Guys, let's take a look at the Raider Nation if we can. So the Raiders reported for their first full day today, training camp underway, and linebacker Khalil Mack, that's the big story, not with the team. We knew that this was going to happen. Reports now saying
Defensive
today.
end, Tony. He'll be at the DN spot this year.
Okay, defensive.
When he shows up in camp.
Yeah, defensive end. Okay, so that's part of his contention. He does not want to play
Right,
defensive
doesn't know
end.
the position.
So anyway, reports say that Mack will hold out until he gets the long-term deal. But today, the word came out that John Gruden and Mack have not spoken to each other, not once, since Gruden became the head coach back in January. How could that be? Seriously.
It's a bit overblown, in my opinion.
Well, let me overblow it.
They're blow away, Tony.
You stopped yourself for a half.
Yeah.
Then just went for it.
Yeah,
That's the
forget
alcohol
it.
talking.
I mean, you're talking about
That's the
these are guys that it's a negotiation. What do Gruden and Mack have to say to each other right now? First of all, Gruden doesn't run the defense.
Right.
I'm a little more surprised that maybe Gunther hasn't
Gunther
talked.
has. They have spoken.
So that's way more important, in my opinion, than John Gruden talking to him. Gruden's in charge of the offense. Gruden's going to run this team. Right now, they're in negotiations to get a long-term deal done, which I still think will be done. This is all waiting on Aaron Donald, in my opinion. That's That's what we're waiting on, is for Donald in L.A. with the Rams to get his contract finalized. And then that's what will help Matt get his contract finalized.
So you guys aren't concerned. You guys aren't concerned that Ian Rappaport today said that things have not gone well at all in negotiations, and he called the situation tense.
I think it comes down to the Donald deal. One of these deals is going to get going, and it's
someone's got to be first, right?
I mean, there's a bad way to phrase it, but we'll just say I think each guy's just waiting to see which shoe drops,
right?
And base their contract off of that, right? Both want to set the record, which is, every right. I heard Donald turned down a 4-year, $80 million guaranteed deal, something obscene. I mean, that's obscene in the NFL when you go that high, and
you gotta wonder if he wants to be in L.A.
Right?
Is that the issue? Does he not want to be in L.A.? I mean, how do you turn that?
But how do you not want to be in L.A. right now with the
I don't. I mean, that team, the Rams, I think, are poised to be one of the best teams in the NFL, especially in the NFC. But I don't. Is it panic time yet? No, I don't think so, because Mac is going to play for the Raiders this year, whether it's under a 1-year franchise tag, which I don't think he wants to do, but that's worst case scenario. In which case he'll make $15 million this season. That's a pretty good worst case scenario, if you ask me. But they want to get the deal done. Mac wants to be a Raider. He wants to be a Raider long term. The Raiders want Mac to be a Raider long term. They'll find a way to get this deal done.
So, meanwhile, you've got players on the PUP list, physically unable to perform list, including the offensive tackle, Donald Penn, oft-injured defensive tackle going back to his college days, Eddie Vanderdoes, and then the rookie defensive tackle, P.J. Hall. So Colton Miller, Brandon Parker, they're going to get a lot of preseason reps, right, as rookies.
Yeah.
And so also you have Maurice Hurst, who could emerge during preseason because he will get more time with Hall and Vanderdoes out.
Mo Hurst was going to get the most reps anyways, in my opinion. He was going to be ahead of Vanderdoes and Hall. Hall, I'm kind of surprised. I hope Hall gets back in time for the season to start, because I think he can be a dynamic player. Plus, you need that rotation in there. Vanderdoes is coming off of a late-season ACL. He tore his ACL in Week 17 last year. I don't think anybody expected him to be back anyways. That's generally, even in this day and age, it's an 8 to 12-month process to come back from a torn ACL. And this is a big guy putting a lot of stress on that leg. So I don't know that anybody really expected him to be back in September anyways. But, I mean, Mo Hurst is the guy. I think he's going to end up being the steal of the 2018 NFL draft.
Another injury, and I want to bring it up. I mean, the big leg injury is Jordy Nelson. Is this guy going to be back and healthy during camp? And will he be the same player that he was when he had Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball in Green Bay?
Yeah, he looked good last season. He came back from the injury well. I think Nelson, more so than just his ability on the field, his ability in the locker room. He's a guy that can teach guys like Cooper and Roberts, these younger kids coming up, how to play that position. You have a guy like Martavis Bryant. He's going to be the guy that takes the top off the defense. He's the stretch guy. He's the one that's going to move everybody back. And then moving Cooper into the slot, I think, is probably the best move that this team can make, because he's so good. His footwork is so amazing. He's so quick. His routes are so crisp. He's going to be a mismatch for anybody on the field.
How about John Gruden saying this week that he won't take the Raiders' money if he can't win in Oakland? He didn't actually say that.
I believe it, though.
Well,
I
he
believe
said,
it.
if I can't get it done, I'm not going to take their money. And what precisely does that mean?
Well, he signed a 10-year, $10 million contract, right? And, I mean, you know Gruden pretty well. I mean, if he says something, shouldn't we believe him?
Yeah.
I mean,
but what I read into that is Gruden knows he's going to get the job done. Gruden, so much has been made about the fact that he's been away from the game. This isn't a Joe Gibbs situation where he left the game and went and ran a NASCAR team for however many years before coming back to the sideline. John Gruden has been part of the NFL from the second he left, and he's studied every day like a head coach would, preparing for every single Monday Night Football game. And he's done it with the access that no other head coach in the NFL has ever had, and that's access to every single locker room in this league. I don't know that there's anybody more prepared for this season than John Gruden.
One more note about the Raiders. So the NFL reportedly will not allow the Raiders to sell Las Vegas team apparel until the team actually moves to Las Vegas. So the NFL has basically decided to hold back any merchandise.
Yeah,
any merchandise that says the Las Vegas Raiders. they're hoping to cut down on counterfeiting. I don't understand that either.
How are you
we know
going
that
to
they're
cut down
coming here.
How are you going to cut down on it if there's no apparel available?
That's going to give counterfeiting a head start.
Exactly.
Let's
let's go to Haley.
Let's
Haley's
check
got
it.
something to say.
No, let's definitely.
my thought.
Turn the
Newsflash.
camera, Luis.
Come on, Luis.
Oh, get off your
Luis
phone.
is watching.
You're hot. You're hot.
Okay,
There we
you're
go.
hot.
Thank
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back, Haley.
Hello.
So what were you saying there?
That's just going to give the counterfeiters a head start, so everyone's going to have counterfeit Raiders LV apparel. Maybe we should get in on that, actually.
I think we should get in on this. Yeah.
It sounds counterproductive.
So Haley, let me ask you this. So do you think it's going to accelerate the sale of merchandise if the city of Oakland says, okay, after the 2019 season, 2018 season, you guys are gone, right? And perhaps they come to Vegas. Perhaps would they do like, okay, the Mexico City Raiders? Do you think we'll see merchandise there? Because that's where they might wind up. The San Antonio Raiders.
No, they're not going to Mexico City.
Well, they're going to have one year after the 19th season.
I think the most logical spot would be Berkeley to play at Cal. I mean, you're still in the Bay Area. You're just north of Oakland. You're on the East Bay still.
That stadium's a little bit newer, right? Didn't they redo that?
I'm sure there have been renovations. It was War Memorial Stadium, right?
It's a big deal. Like, they spent a lot of money on renovations for that stadium.
But so the lease is over at the end of the season, and who knows where they're going to wind up? I think Oakland's going to kick them to the curb.
And they may, but I don't think they're leaving the Bay Area for the 2019 season. I would love to see them come to Sam Boyd and play there, but it's not viable right now because it's not ready. There's no way it can sustain an NFL game, let alone an NFL season. But I don't get the Vegas merchandise thing. Going back to that, what does that prevent? Exactly?
I'll tell you what it tells me. Yes, folks, the Raiders are going to change their uniforms.
No, they're not.
They're going to change it for Vegas.
They're not.
They are.
They didn't change for LA.
They're going to change the name of the team.
What are
it's
you
not Raiders
talking
Stadium.
about?
I'm not seeing the correlation.
What
here,
are you
Tony.
talking
What they're going to
about?
do is the Raiders are probably going to change their uniforms.
There's
That's going to be my
not
guess.
a more iconic uniform in sports
They're going to change
than the Raiders.
They're going
at
to
least
change
in the NFL.
No, they'll change it for Vegas.
There's not a
They'll
chance
put a
they're
slot
changing
machine on
it.
the side.
That's exactly right.
Here's what I find.
Get out of here, Tony.
Here's what I find extremely odd. The Raiders will not market Las Vegas on its merchandise, yet the Raiders, and I'm on the homepage for the Raiders, Raiders.com, the fifth tab over says Las Vegas.
Right.
There's nowhere on here that says Oakland, except on the headline of the story that I'm looking at that says Oakland Raiders. In fact, I talked with some team people, and they refuse to say Oakland or Las Vegas Raiders. They just say Raiders.
The Raiders,
so,
yeah.
I find it a little
They're in a very precarious situation right now because they're trying to walk this fine line where you want to bring in this new fan base in Las Vegas without pissing off the old fan base in Oakland and completely shoving them to the side. That's the biggest thing is you have to get these people into a stadium for the next 2 years, right? You've got to get them to continue to pay money to go to these football games without just completely walking away. This is a team that is leaving, and you have to convince these people, hey, it's okay, keep coming to our game.
New uniform.
It's not happening.
New logo.
Not happening.
Haley,
New logo, could you
Haley,
imagine?
we got to ask you.
Not a chance.
What your thoughts might be on should they get a new logo because it's Vegas? Should it be a neon, something neon?
What are the commenters saying?
Well, currently they want to know why Tony's not wearing a suit jacket, but Matt and John are.
I just want to be comfortable, and I don't want to look
He's actually
at
the smart one because I'm sweating quite a bit.
It's hot in here, man.
I was about to roll up the sleeves here, so
It's toasty.
I'm not a big fan of the
Look,
lights.
there's no way they change their logo. There's no way they rebrand. This is the silver and black. They're only associated with silver and black. Their fight song, so to speak, has silver hat on your head in the words. They're not changing anything about this team.
That's why they're holding off on the merchandise.
That's not why.
All right, is it time to move on?
Sure.
Time to move on.
Let's move on. Let's go to the Golden Knights, or as we affectionately call them here, the
knighthood. The knighthood.
What?
We've got a lot to talk about.
You haven't seen that, Haley? Where have you been?
Haley.
It's been going on for a while
perfect.
Haley.
That was synchronized.
Yeah. Haley's been hanging out in Compton, and she quite doesn't understand the knighthood.
I've been trying to understand.
Let's move
the
on
West
to the
Coast.
Golden Knights now. So really, guys, a lot to talk about. I mean, camp's coming up in September, but you've got one signing.
Not enough to make him the top story, apparently, for Tony, because
that's okay.
You know, he gets pretty upset about that.
Golden Knights news, one signing, a pretty important signing, I think, one non-signing that we're still talking about here in William Karlsson. And then I want to get into all this young talent that the Golden Knights have. They have 4 major prospects that are all going to get the opportunity to break in with the big club this season. And then the trade rumor here, it just seems it's completely died off. Sources have gone away as concerning Erik Karlsson. But William Carrier, we'll start with him. 2-year deal, annual average value of $725,000. 1 goal, 2 assists, 37 games. So on the stat sheet, not impressive. 10 playoff games. But what does Carrier do on this team that this team would be much better served to have him on the roster next season?
Carrier gives you I think, more skilled version of what you get out of Ryan Reeves. And that's not to take anything away from Ryan Reeves, because he is...
Leave my man Reeves alone.
I'm not attacking Reeves. I like Reeves' game.
Yeah.
When Reeves plays,
Don't mess with Reeves.
When Reeves plays within himself, he's aggressive. He's a bit of that enforcer. Carrier plays that same kind of role, but I think Carrier gives you a bigger skill set. He's a better skater. I think he's a little more skilled offensively.
Don't say that he's a better goal scorer. Don't say he's a better goal scorer.
I said skilled offensively. Okay. There is more to offense
We're not
than
talking
just
about
scoring
Tippins,
goals, Tony. There's a little more to it. But I feel that I honestly believe that Reeves kind of took a page out of Carrier's book in the playoffs and said, okay, that's the way that I need to play. That's the position I'm taking over for. That's the guy that I need to model going into this next series. And he did, and he played that style and looked great.
So I don't know what kind of answer I'm going to get from you. I mean, I feel a little tension here already. Are the Golden Knights better with William Carrier or without him?
Well, I mean, look at the deal. It was cheap, right? So
yeah,
they're not going to get burned on this deal. And I just would like to see more goal scoring out of him. Obviously, he can skate. Obviously, he is skilled offensively. And it's good to keep that continuity, with the team as well. I think it's it's something that's not going to hurt the franchise if he doesn't perform. I mean, what's the expectation level here? Can't be very high. Can't be very high.
Stay healthy, I think. Is the
stay healthy.
Right?
Stay on the ice. That's
after last season.
He's the odd man out on the 4th line right now with Nozick re-signing and with Reeves and again Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, who's a stalwart. Really, I make the argument he was one of the MVPs last season. But you're talking about depth. I mean, even with the loss of James Neal, I feel like the depth of the Vegas Golden Knights. And I mentioned the draft picks earlier. We'll get into them in a minute. But it seems like depth for a team that's only in its 2nd year. This team's got a lot of depth.
They have a ton of depth, and we're still waiting. You mentioned it earlier. We're still waiting on the Erik Karlsson news. Is he going to be traded? We were sitting at a Las Vegas Aces game. What was that now? 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it was a done deal. Karlsson was going. Karlsson was going to Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
it was
crazy.
done. It was over. Everybody had it signed off, and here we sit 3 or 4 weeks later, and Karlsson is still in Ottawa, and everybody's still waiting. I think that's the final shoe to drop in this entire scenario, because not just the fact that the Knights could get Erik Karlsson, what are the Knights going to give up in return for getting Karlsson? I think that is the biggest question mark.
Does Erik Karlsson have any bearing on William Karlsson? Do you think maybe that's why there hasn't been a long-term deal worked out? Hearings in New York right now through August the 4th. We haven't heard a date for William Karlsson.
It's the final day.
It is on the 4th.
It's the final day of the arbitration hearings, and I'm feeling the hype. I think the hype machine is up and running, and I don't think there will be a deal before August the 4th for William Karlsson. I think it's going to come down to the wire. I think the Golden Knights are trying to play a game of chess right now and see what he's looking for, what Bill Karlsson is seeking, and I think they're going to they're playing a hand of poker right now.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're playing a hand of poker, and I think it's going to be, the arbiter's going to say around $3 million. I think William Karlsson, wants $6 million. I think the team might ask for $3 million. And Karlsson will want $6 million, and maybe they get $4 million.
Maybe you meet in the middle?
Yeah.
It's a unique scenario, though, guys. I mean, you look at this. Where else do you have a comparison like this? Last season, 43 goals, 78 points in 82 games. For his entire career before that, 18 goals, 50 points in 183 games.
But there's more that goes into that, because how much opportunity was he given on the ice in his previous stops.
He still had ice time in his previous
but
stops.
not like this. He was a
but
top
6 times
line.
the goal scoring of his previous career high.
He was a top line center with this team. A top line center with Jonathan Marchessault, who scored what, 20? How many goals did he end up with this?
29.
29 goals, almost 30 goals this year. And Riley Smith, who was Mr. Do Everything for this team. So he was on a top line where he was able to facilitate and receive great assists from just a fantastic line. So their plus-minus was better than anybody in the NHL.
Detractors might say that William Karlsson shot 23.4%, which is high. It's extremely high. And what's going to happen when you get in front of the arbiter is that you're going to have, now the Knights have to play a little bit of cat and mouse too, and the arbiter might say, that's a high number. There's no way that he's going to replicate what he did this past season. It's almost impossible. Yes, the numbers, I still don't know how he keeps up at that clip. 78 points, right? 43 goals. But that high shooting percentage is something that you just have to keep an eye on. And it's something maybe that he can't replicate, not just this season, but ever again.
But I've changed my mind on this, though. Before I said go to arbitration, buy yourself another year, see what he does next year. If he puts up another 30-goal season, then pay the man. But now you look at the Major Four, when a guy has a career year, he's usually locked up to a long-term deal afterwards. And I just think it's so common now that that's what the Golden Knights should do. And if you miss, it's not as big a deal as if you don't sign him and you miss, and now you're paying more on the back end.
No, because here's the thing. Who in Vegas, not just media but fan base, who is going to attack the Golden Knights if they decide before August 4th rolls around that they want to lock up William Karlsson for 6 years at $6, $7, $8 million per? Nobody's going to attack that because of the season that he had, because this team is brand new, because largely fans don't really know anybody better at this point. They know that they love William Karlsson. They're excited for what he brought to the team in the first season, and they want to see him here for the foreseeable future.
I never, ever in my wildest dreams thought that I would be the conservative one on this panel, but I'm the guy that said, don't lock down Fleury from the business side until you see what type of a year he has now at age 34, right, in the upcoming season. You just want to make sure that your investment pays off, pays dividends at the end. And what do? They go out and they sign Fleury, Marc-Andre Fleury, to a long-term deal.
Well, all that says to me is Fleury's 2 years away from winning the Vezina because Pekka Rinne just won the Vezina at 36 years old. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for goalies to play well into their mid to late 30s. What says Fleury can't do it when he just had his best season at 34?
Getting back to Karlsson, though, his contract, pay the man now. And if it doesn't work out, you just look at him.
You're going to pick it up?
Bobby Ryan. He's a throw-in in a trade, and that's the big contract that you try to get rid of, right? Vegas has a lot of prospects, and then you throw in Karlsson's contract if they need to down the road.
And a lot of draft picks, too, that you could always give up. I don't think, George McPhee has proven in a short time here in Vegas, and I knew that he had that solid reputation coming in, but in a short time here in Las Vegas has really earned his stripes. He's really proven to me that he can manage this team, and he knows the pieces that kind of fit in with his team, and he knows the chemistry of this team, right?
Let's go to the young guns. I really want to talk about these guys with training camp coming up in September, and there's so many of them, right? And you lose James Neal, Tomas Tatar, not the best contribution when he came over from Detroit earlier last season.
But he has the track record.
Right, exactly. That's a very good point. But you've got these four players who essentially could make the big club this year. Cody Glass, 6th overall draft pick last year, 102 points. That was 7th in the WHL. Nick Suzuki, 12th in the draft, 100 points. That's 4th in the OHL. Eric Brandstrom, Branny, and all these are great kids, by the way. We've talked to them all.
Branson was the talk of the camp that they had here.
Right. He played in Sweden's top pro league. He gained a ton of minutes out there for an 18-year-old. He's got a chance to make the big club, especially defensively. And then Nick Hague, another defenseman, the OHL's defenseman of the year, 35 goals, 78 points in Mississippi. So you're talking about four guys who, again, will have an opportunity to make the big club this coming
but
season.
Nick Hague is one of the names that they're mentioning a lot.
Sounds like he's number one on the list,
the list for
you've got depth to trade, though.
For the Eric Karlsson
If
deal.
you had to rank who's going to be who's the first guy to wear a Knights jersey and who will be the last, I would say Hague is going to be first, and then Branstrom and Glass
Branstrom
maybe
really
right
made an
there,
impression.
right?
Yeah, the last
those
time
two
out.
guys I think are maybe 2 and 2A with Suzuki very close behind. But you have 4 guys potentially that could be on the big club this season. There's a lot of talent there from last year's draft. Will they be in the organization if they happen to go after Erik Karlsson?
But again, you've got four big boys that have a real bright future with the Golden Knights, whether they're in Vegas or not. Certainly, they're valuable pieces, and all 4. I believe it's Brandstrom's the one that wouldn't play for the Chicago Wolves, but the Wolves are now the legitimate all-in AHL team for the Golden Knights, so they don't have to share time with any Blues prospects.
The one player. So who else is left to sign? So Shea Theodore, is he signed yet for next season? I don't think so, right?
I
I
don't
think that
believe
might
I've
be
seen
one of the
anything on
only
Shea,
names.
no.
There's a name that just kind of went away, right, for a while.
But that was at the trade deadline in February. Shea Theodore was one of the guys that was a piece in the package that McPhee was offering to Ottawa in exchange for Erik Karlsson. Apparently, either Ottawa wanted too much or McPhee got cold feet at the last minute, but that deal never took place. I honestly hope that they don't do that because I think Shea Theodore is going to be one of the better defensemen in this league. I hope that they can keep him and still bring Erik Karlsson over because those two could be fantastic for this team.
Yeah, and so you have William Karlsson. I think Shea Theodore is still out there, unsigned, but they've done a good job now over the past few weeks of avoiding arbitration, for some big names with this team.
I'm looking up Theodore's contract right now as we speak. Restricted free agent.
Still.
So, yeah.
I felt as though he's still out there. And there's a name, again, to Matt's point, Erik Karlsson. If that deal happens, that's one of the players that they're looking to land.
So we talked about Erik Karlsson. Everything's cooled dramatically. Wonder if maybe something will happen before William Karlsson's
when will it happen
hearing.
If it does?
August the 4th. I'm thinking before the hearing, right? Maybe if something happens and it just kind of plays out on how much they want to sign the Bill Karlsson.
It's funny because we sit here and speculate, but we have no idea what's being talked about behind closed doors because I don't know that I've ever been around any organization that's as secretive as the Knights, and maybe that's just a hockey thing in general. I mean, you go back to the injuries, and it's an upper body and a lower body, and they don't want to tell you anything. But we haven't heard anything about negotiations ongoing with William Karlsson to this point.
I know he wants to stay in Vegas.
Right.
One more note. Golden Knights note, big news, guys. The annual, now second annual Vegas Golden Knights road trip.
Get on the bus.
That was just announced. Yeah, hop on the bus. August 5th through the 10th. Here's the stops for this year, guys. Reno. So our friends from the north. Boise, Idaho.
Our friends from the north.
Beautiful Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Okay. Salt Lake City. So these are some great stops for them. And it's Brad Hunt, John Merrill, Nick Hague. Big part of that, unless it's traded.
Yeah,
that
bus could keep going, all the way to Ottawa.
These players are TBD or TBA. Could change at any moment. But Nate Schmidt, part of that tour as well. The announcers, Wallace, Shane Knighty, Dave Gosher, Chance, all scheduled to make an appearance. All part of the broadcast region.
How can you go on a bus trip without
Guys,
Chance?
can we for one moment check in with Haley because I want to ask her about this stunt that Derek Englund of the Vegas Golden Knights and Kurt Busch are going to be pulling off. I think it's on August the 13th, right?
Yeah, I was going to try and keep it more secretive than that. Like a stay tuned. Who's going to play the sports swap? Yeah. But apparently not.
No.
It's already been announced.
Yeah, well, I was going to do that. So Kurt Busch is going to take his turn on the ice, and then Derek Englund is going to take his turn at the track. So we're going to see who is better at the opposite sport, I guess you could say.
What's your prediction there?
What's what?
What's your prediction?
My prediction? I think that Kurt's people are going to be really worried when he's on the ice.
Yeah.
I
have a feeling England's going to be the better driver.
Yeah, and it's like right before NASCAR's playoffs and everything, like there's just, if he does one wrong move, there's a lot to lose there.
So he won't be on skates then, probably.
Well, no, he's going to be on skates.
He better be on skates, otherwise what's the point? Is
England
going to be in a car where he's just going to run around the speedway?
He's going to watch.
How did this thing originate, though? This is a pretty unique stunt where you have the race car driver trying hockey, the hockey player getting in a race car. It's pretty unique.
It's pro sports in Vegas, man. That's what happens.
How did it originate?
It is the brain of Jeff Motley. he was like, I want to do this. And they were like, okay. And he's such a higher up. He just goes straight to. He's like,
he's
hey,
just
Kurt.
He's such a higher
Well, he's
up.
just, you know, he's
We've
higher
dealt with
up.
him on this show. I don't know if I, care.
He's so intertwined. He just texts these
He's
guys like,
juiced
what are
in
you
the
doing?
Vegas community.
This is what we're going
Got
to do.
the connections, man. That's what Vegas is,
Yeah.
right? It's who you know, not what you know.
Hailstorm, do we have any more comments for Haley's comments?
Yeah, Haley's comments. So Barbara Croney wants to know, she asked, she's like, all right, she said, okay, inaugural season is over. Will we have a, are you okay?
I'm just sweating.
Okay. Inaugural season's over. Will the Knights have a captain, and who do you think it will
Oh, what a great question.
Yeah.
It'll be the first
Barbara.
goaltender to be Captain Fleury.
No,
No, you don't think so?
I don't think so. I don't think they put the C on Fleury.
You've got to do it.
I don't
You've gotta
think
do it.
anybody gets it.
You've got to do
If
it.
somebody got it, I think it'd be Marc-Andre Fleury. Why wouldn't he get it? Face of the
know.
franchise, big contract, so many saves leading
Because
into the
I think
playoffs,
it
the 4
represents
playoff
more
shutouts.
than that. I think a guy like
He signs
England
all the
is more
autographs.
suited for it. I think a guy like even Belmar, but I don't know if they would put it on the fourth line center. But Belmar is such a great locker room guy, and just a great guy to talk to in general. And he's one of the leaders on that team. If you see them before and after games, coming onto the ice, going off the ice, Belmar is the guy at the point. So I think he could be one of the guys as well. I don't think it goes on Fleury.
I'd make the argument that it's Derek England. You think about the Western Conference Final and who got to touch the trophy.
Right.
It was Derek England, right? They all pushed him up there. So I think based on that,
And that
fact
was
alone,
apparently talked about before the game.
Right.
If we win,
Yeah.
Derek's going up to take the trophy.
Give it to Fleury. So
All right,
Thanks,
never
Tony.
mind.
So
Aces, what do we got?
So the Aces, yes.
Yeah.
As we move down our lineup right there on your screen, right there. And so, can we get a shot of Matt right now? Wait, where's Matt? Hey, it's Kelsey
I thought I was talking
Plum.
to Matt earlier today, but apparently not. Now, this doesn't look like Kelsey Plum. I think her hair's lighter.
It's Kelsey Plum. What are you? It's me, John.
Maybe I just never see her smiling
So
on the
they
court.
were-
Usually she's getting yelled at by
She's
Paul
got-
Lampier.
She's got long hair there. Her hair's down.
Kelsey's got her own fan club now at the games.
They're Plum
apparently.
crazy at the games now.
Plum crazy.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
what I said. Yeah, on my tweet, but 2 people liked it. But so anyway, but as I said on Twitter this week, I know all of you paid attention.
What are you going to take credit for now, Tony?
So
Everything.
if I had WNBA sources, they might tell me that Las Vegas could very well be the site of next year's WNBA All-Star Game. That's only if I had sources.
Do you have sources?
So probably this game would be played at Mandalay Bay as opposed to T-Mobile. I called it Center the other day. Let's say T-Mobile Center.
Jeez.
So
Thanks,
anyway,
Jeff
T-Mobile.
You gonna listen to this guy's
T-Mobile
sources?
Arena.
Wrigley Stadium.
Like I said, if I had sources, they would tell me that about now. And that's it. That's my take.
I'm going to trust your sources, even though your last source told us that LeBron would show
Yeah.
up at the Aces game, and
Don't
he, in
trust
fact,
the
No.
did
But before
not.
that, what did I say?
Is it the same source, or is this a different source?
No, I've got plenty of sources.
I hope it's a different source, because the last one fell through.
So, yes, but the one prior to that was about LeBron wanting to play for Summer League. And my sources, I think, were right about that. And he showed up in his Laker shorts. He was ready to
Showing
go.
up
Were those
playing.
game official
He
shorts?
showed up
Were they?
in the shorts.
Laker shorts.
and the
he-
T-shirt, they would have let him play.
Yeah, exactly.
No
and
jersey.
Congratulations, of course, once again, Asia Wilson, Kayla McBride, all-stars in Minnesota this week. Coming up this weekend on Saturday will be the WNBA All-Star Game.
Great win the other night against the Indiana Fever.
Yes.
Yeah,
I almost said Pacers, yeah.
Yeah, I was on the verge. I thought I had a Reggie Miller flashback there. But no, great win, pulled away from him in the fourth quarter. McBride, so much fun to watch. I'm looking forward to seeing her in the three-point shooting contest. I saw a clip of her the other night shooting, and she couldn't miss. Couldn't miss. Money balls and everything, couldn't miss.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see Asia Wilson, too, and how dominant she is against the other centers. These are the elite centers in the WNBA. We talked on our post-game show, right, from there at Mandalay Bay, about the schedule coming out of the break. It's going to be tough. There's one game at home, then 3 consecutive road games, then back at home. So their first 5 games, 3 out of the 5 are on the road. And, Matt, every other night they're in action?
Yeah, every other night for the first, I think, 5 games after the break.
Yeah.
The big one, though, was the first game out of the break at home against Phoenix. No Diana Taurasi. She picked up her 7th technical before the break, and she'll be serving a 1-game suspension.
We'll take them anyway, right? Here
Absolutely. Sitting a game and a half out of a playoff spot right now behind Connecticut. They need every break that they can get. I mean, there's only, 10, 11 games left, if that. They need to make up ground in a hurry.
You look at how this team's been playing, though. 11-6 in their last 17. I mean, pretty horrid start. 1-7 start to the year. New franchise, new team.
Missing
knew
pieces.
a lot of things. Right. Based on the way this team's playing, I'm pretty confident that we've got a playoff team in Las Vegas, and it should be fun to watch closing out the year.
Another playoff team in Las Vegas.
Another playoff team. Carolyn Swords was telling us after the game, she was our pregame guest on Facebook, in case you missed it. Every time we have a pregame guest, they excel during the game. So anyway.
2 out of 3.
Why don't you just take credit for the win, Tony?
We'll take credit for the win. So Carolyn Swords, who's the veteran on this team, she said that, they really have to come out and make a statement at the start of the second half.
Let's ask Kelsey what she thinks of Carolyn Swords.
Team mom.
Team mom.
Apparently, she's the team mom.
Team mom. Yeah, no, but the veteran's been there before. She's played for Bill Lambier, and she says it's scary coming out of the break because they lost a lot of momentum headed out. So they felt as though they were starting to get on a roll, felt as though the All-Star break broke things up a little, and now they have to pick up those pieces, start the second half.
Oh, no, you can throw it to our boy Luis.
So Luis
Negrete,
who sits courtside with us and provides a lot of entertainment for us out at the Las Vegas Aces games, is with us now. And wait a second, that's not Haley. That's Luis.
That's Luis.
What's with the hat, Luis? I ask you this every week. I don't get
it. The only hat I have.
I'm going to buy you a new hat.
Yeah, well, take one of these hats.
Swag.
Put that on. There you go.
There you go.
That looks way better.
We need some Aces. We need some Aces hats and jerseys. Send them
our
way.
Yeah.
And Wingstop Wings.
Who does marketing for them, Tony?
MGM Resorts International.
Yeah. All right. Come on, folks.
Send it our way.
Luis, what you got for us?
So, it's All-Star break, as you guys mentioned, and 2 Aces are in Minnesota. But last game, we were able to catch up with a couple Aces, and they let us know how they're going to do it to come back after the All-Star break to catch that fire they had before they went to the All-Star break.
The Aces are going to All-Star Weekend winning 6 of their last 7 games. In the past couple of weeks, the Aces have become a legitimate playoff contender thanks to the All-Star caliber play by Asia Wilson and Kayla McBride, who both were selected to participate in the All-Star game this weekend. Despite their 1-7 start of the season, the Aces have won 7 of their last 9 games, something that has given the team confidence going forward.
I think a lot of teams are scared of us, scared of what we can do. So right now, it's just we're trying to make it about us and how we can get better a little bit each and every day. We know that this is a tough league. Everybody, I swear, somebody was in 2nd and now they're in 8th. So anything can happen. But as long as we stay consistent and continue to get better, continue to grow, we'll be fine.
Even though the team will be away from each other for a few days, players understand that it's all part of the WNBA season.
Breaks is kind of tough, of course, because we're going to be away from each other and away from just being on the court, but I think it's a part of it. When we come back, we really have to be locked in because the season's going to fly by and we're trying to really, really get into the playoffs spots.
Even though there's a total of 9 games left in the season, the team knows the city has their back.
I think this city and these fans, they deserve us to be in the playoffs, so just trying to make sure that you're aware and having the team aware and make sure that we have that urgency coming into after All-Star break.
So the next game will be this Wednesday coming up. I'm sure the Aces will bring that same fire they had throughout the season so far, and hopefully they can catch up to that last spot with Connecticut.
Thanks, Luis.
Nice report, Luis. Great video.
1.5 games, man. They're right there. Like I said, Taurasi being out, you don't throw that one back. Just go out and steal that win and hope that you can make up some ground.
Luis is also a Viva Lights big soccer fan.
Big support.
The Las Vegas Lights playing in Seattle against the Sounders 2.
Not looking good,
trailing,
Tony.
What, 3-0?
Does he still have the mic on?
3-0, yeah.
Luis, give us the score. You still got the mic on, so why don't you just give us the score?
It's 3-0 right now?
Thanks, Luis. Don't do anything until we close your mic. You can close this mic.
According to Matt.
Thanks. That's perfect.
Thanks, Rich. Nice job, Rich Giacovino.
So this team,
Rich on the 1s and 2s.
It doesn't appear as though the Viva Lights are going to sweep this Northwest swing, but they do return home next Saturday, August the 4th, against the Rio Grande Valley FC
RGV.
Toros.
That's my former stomping grounds out there.
Is it Rio Grande?
Rio Grande Valley.
Rio Grande.
Yep, Rio Grande.
I just tried to add some flair.
RGV.
Okay.
RGV.
And the Sounders team is horrible going into the game, like 3-13-2. How do you lose this game? Well, they haven't lost yet. But.
It's like 75th minute. They're on their way, unfortunately.
How do you lose this game? Oh, they haven't even played.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tony.
They're on their way, Tony. Don't
But
worry.
they do close late, so
yeah.
Don't go away. Don't fret.
Yeah.
I like that word. Don't fret. I like the word fret. So the Las Vegas 51s. I want to shift gears, okay? If I can.
It's not on the rundown.
Well, it is.
Where are you going, Rogue?
No, yeah. So Tim Tebow.
Save it for your final thought. Oh yeah,
Tim
shoot.
Tebow.
I'm not doing final thoughts.
Tebow was never coming to Vegas anyway.
Tim Tebow will
Sure
not
he
be
was.
playing
Oh,
here
no,
in
he
Las
wasn't.
Vegas.
He was.
No
the
way.
AAA 51s. He was definitely earmarked for Las Vegas.
Tebow's a Christian. He's got a mission in Vegas.
Why would you
out
even
to
bother?
the
If you're going to send
city?
Tebow up, why would you even bother with Vegas?
Why not?
Honestly, throw him up to the big club.
Oh,
it's
just
not
do
like
that.
the Mets are doing
Well,
anything anyways.
that is
pretty much the worst thing ever in baseball.
If he goes to the big club, he might end up with hand, foot, and mouth disease.
Yeah, how does a grown man get that disease? I thought it was a kid's disease.
I thought that there was something
If the
called-
adults are around
Wait,
the
wait,
kids,
wait.
that can happen.
Is there something called hoof and mouth disease, or am I just making that up?
That's a whole nother
That's when you
situation,
talk on
man.
this show.
That's
You have hoof and mouth disease.
So Tebow, by the way, diagnosed with a broken bone in his hand. He'll likely miss the rest of
That's
the
too
season.
bad. It really is too
Won't play on any level. He won't be playing
Yeah.
here in Vegas. He won't be playing for the hapless New York Mets. They're just horrible this year, and the Mets are cursed.
This kid, I mean, I don't care how you feel about him, Matt, or Tony for that matter.
Why are you
but
attacking me?
The kid's had you talk about adversity. I mean, his heart is such in the right place. He just wants to go out there and be able to do his thing, right? You saw that playoff game against the Denver Broncos, or with the Broncos,
Oh, God.
the ultimate high, right? With that
Come
win over the
on,
Steelers,
with that little
right?
5-yard
But
pass.
see, I don't care what you think. Hello. I'm trying to get to my point. Final thought, John Castanino. Now I'm totally off base. But I mean, he's faced adversity, right? Gets cut from the Patriots, gets cut from the Jets, and now he just wants to make it in baseball. And now he's got this hand injury. I love
that idea, the facing adversity. The kid played D1 football at the highest level. Under
now he
Urban
wants to
Meyer
reach
at
the
Florida.
pinnacle of
He
a
played in the
sport.
NFL. He went to the playoffs. Now he's playing minor league baseball. Oh, poor Tim Tebow. Come on with that narrative.
Fine, you break a bone.
Adversity.
I won't feel bad for you at all.
I tear my
Blow
knee
out your
every
knee.
other
Yeah, go
week.
ahead. Just
Come on.
walk around and snap.
So I want
and
to
I'm going
stick
to
with.
say Tebow time.
Can I stick with the 51s real quick?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I check in periodically, right, with the Las Vegas baseball stadium that's being built out there in Summerlin.
Do
And
you illegally go on property? Is that how you check
Rich,
in?
don't we have a... Okay, so this is today's photo. I was up at 7:21 a.m., apparently. It's timestamped. Does it appear to you guys that this stadium will be ready for baseball for next season? No way.
Yes.
I say no
It's
way.
July.
I say no
You're
way.
starting to sound
It's
like
July.
all of these.
I'm going to take bets.
You're starting
I've been
to sound
checking
like
in.
all
It's
of these
July.
crazy
No,
Raiders
it will not be
fans.
ready for the start of the baseball season.
Stop. You're starting to sound like all these Raiders
Big
fans.
We're going to go take
weekend.
a close-up look at that.
That are
Big league
saying-
weekend will be at Cashman
put the
Field.
picture back up,
It's
Rich.
going to be at
Thanks.
Cashman Field. I'm
You're
telling you right
You're
now.
starting to sound like all these
right.
people in Oakland that say the stadium isn't going to be done in time.
Haley's
based
going to be
on
the
pictures
tiebreaker. I'm just
from
telling
the
you.
early
They've got-
development.
It's
the
not
land's
progressing.
almost rated. They've got
it's
posts
not
in.
progressing
This-
as quickly
No,
as
no, no,
other
no, no,
construction
no, no,
projects
no.
around the valley.
The second steel and concrete start to go up, this thing will fly.
I am not
It's
sure
like the
it's going to
Raiders
get done in
stadium.
time.
And what? A fifth of the size?
Yeah,
A tenth of the
you got to get the
size?
posts in there. You got to grade the land. You got to get the caliche out of there. You got to do your surveys. They've got the posts in. They've got the foundation in there.
Tony,
They've got those big posts.
What trades are you skilled in?
right.
Exactly.
Good
I'm just
question.
curious what your construction background is. That
They
you
laughed.
can look
They laughed
at
at the
picture
guy,
of dirt
and he always
and tell
comes
me
through.
whether or not
It's like
this
it's
thing
okay.
is on time.
WNBA All-Star Game here next year. And
Tony's coming down with hand, foot, and mouth disease.
and the construction on the baseball stadium is apparently not up to my
Where did we
standards.
go?
Yeah,
My timeline.
Let's
I've got
wrap
my
it up.
timeline.
Let's wrap it up.
man.
Haley,
Check in with Haley. I think we need to check in with Haley just one more time and see what's on her mind. And she has to agree with me, of course, as always. Right?
Look at that look.
Haley, wake up.
Hand, foot, and mouth.
Oh, were you awake at 7:21 this morning? I'm
I
just
was,
checking. Okay,
indeed.
just checking.
I
You know I was, right? You saw the timestamp.
I saw the timestamp. That means
Haley,
you were
will the
awake.
stadium be ready in time for the start of the baseball season?
No.
Seems she doesn't care.
God.
I'm
Yes.
going to put it a
Clearly
She
a-
doesn't care.
just
Clearly
a,
a
little bit
Tony
behind
fan.
schedule. Just a little bit behind
Just a
schedule.
little
no,
bit,
in all
yeah.
honesty, though, how long did it take T-Mobile to go up? All in all.
2 years?
Over 2
There's
years.
a huge
Yeah.
difference here. Structurally, there's not much to it. There's no roof. You're not going up multiple decks. It's a pretty basic build. It's not anything near as complicated as T-Mobile or Las Vegas Stadium. Just saying.
He has no facts.
None.
Which is normal on our show.
He has a
Tony
picture of
Cordasco has no facts and yet just runs his mouth.
picture
Sources say.
of dirt.
If
Thanks.
I had sources, they would tell me.
Got
Thanks for
sources.
coming
The
on.
WNBA All-Star Game will be here next year. And, guys,
Thanks
amateur
for
boxing.
joining us.
Could we throw
yeah,
out
of
amateur
course.
boxing before
Hey.
we leave? Our good friend Richard
Yeah.
Steele, Vegas versus Kansas, coming up this weekend. And so there's some ranked fighters, USA fighters, some ranked fighters. There's 3 of them, I think, from our area here in Southern Nevada, 3 to 7 p.m. this Saturday, Richard Steele's Boxing Club, West Cheyenne Avenue. Admission for children 3 to 12 years old is just $5. Ages 13 and up, $15. So, and don't forget, tune into our radio show, right, guys?
Yeah,
Lady?
when is that again?
Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Lexington Thomas will be one of our special guests on the show this week on CBS 1140 a.m. Sports Radio. Don't miss that. Thanks to everyone who tuned in tonight. Thanks to John and Matt and their sports coats.
Thanks for letting me ask a few questions on the show tonight.
It was nice having your
Yeah,
participation.
well, you just sat there like a stump. He didn't get excited until he got to start asking questions again.
For John Castanino.
Mikey Garcia
Matt
this
Gutierrez.
weekend too, boxing boy.
Boxing
Forget
boy,
about that.
Yes. And that should be a good fight. For Haley Brooks and Haley's comments, for Luis Negretti of Aces fame. For Richard Jacovino, our producers. Good night from Las Vegas. Thank you so. Oh, and for Kelsey Plum, going plum crazy. Good night from Las Vegas. I'm Tony Cordasco. So long.